Let's talk about something that people don't like to admit out loud. A lot of people say that they want to be exceptional, but very few people talk about what that actually costs you socially. Because the moment you genuinely decide that you don't want to be average, not in a delusional way, not in a main character way, but in a disciplined, serious way, your social world will start to shift, and not always in your favor. At first, it's subtle. So you're going to stop laughing at certain conversations, not because you think that you're better, but because your interests are going to change. You start caring about long-term strategy, mastery, skill, leverage. Meanwhile, the group is still chatting and gossiping about who said what at brunch. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The more focused that you become, the less relatable that you are. Relatability is a social glue, and exceptionalism is going to be what breaks that glue. So when you start operating at a different intensity, people are going to feel it. And intensity makes others self-reflect. Not consciously, but because your discipline becomes a mirror. Your ambition becomes a comparison. Your standards feel like a quiet accusation, even if you don't intend to, even if you never say a word. And this is the first cost, friction. People may not attack you directly. Instead, they soften you. They joke about you being too serious. They frame your effort as obsession. They subtly reward you when you downplay your goals and socially cool you when you lean into them. Like if you want to lose weight, people are like, you're getting too skinny. But it's not malicious, it's stabilizing behavior. Most social groups are built around equilibrium. When one person accelerates in that group, it destabilizes the emotional contract because now there's a gap between you and everybody else, and that gap creates discomfort. The second cost is loneliness, but not the dramatic kind. It's a very specific type of loneliness. You can still be invited out, you can still have friends, but there's a growing sense that fewer people understand what you're optimizing for. Your decisions stop becoming impulsive and start being strategic. You think in 5-year blocks, while other people are thinking in weekends. So that temporal mismatch isolates you more than you realize and more than your friends will realize. The third cost is that you become polarizing. Average performance is socially safe. It doesn't threaten hierarchy. It doesn't disrupt anyone's self-concept. But when you become visibly competent, visibly disciplined, visibly different, people categorize you quickly. Some people will admire you, and some people will distance themselves quickly. Some people will quietly even root for your failure. And here's the part that nobody prepares you for. Once you signal that you want to be exceptional, people will hold you to it. You lose the right to be mediocre without people making comments. If you fail, it's louder. If you quit, it's noted. If you even slow down, people reinterpret your identity. You volunteered for the higher standard, socially, not just professionally or personally. There's also a relational shift that happens. You start valuing environments that stretch you instead of the ones that comfort you. And that can mean outgrowing your current dynamics, your current friend groups, and even outgrowing people. And silently, that creates guilt. Because ambition, when visible, can look like rejection to those that you used to relate to, even if it's just evolution. And then there's the internal cost. To be exceptional at anything requires narrowing, focus, and sacrifice. You say no more often. You become selective about your time. You stop being endlessly available. And that alone shapes how people experience you, and not always in a good way. Availability is often mistaken for warmth. So when you start reducing access to other people, people might interpret that as coldness. But here's the paradox. The same society that romanticizes excellence does socially reward the process of becoming excellent. It penalizes it. It tolerates the grind, but barely. It rarely accommodates the actual transformation phase. During transformation, you're going to be inconvenient. You're going to disrupt expectations, you're going to violate old patterns, you refuse certain comforts. And people don't always know where to place you. So, what's the real social cost of wanting to be exceptional? It's not going to be hatred, it's not exile, it's subtle separation. You lose a degree of casual belonging. You gain respect in certain rooms, and you lose ease and comfort in others. You become less universally liked and more specifically valued. And that trade, being broadly comfortable versus narrowly remarkable, is one of the most psychologically expensive decisions that you can make. Because at the end of the day, humans are wired for connection. And exceptionalism, by definition, creates distance. The question isn't whether you can handle the workload. It's whether you can handle the space that forms around you when you start moving differently.